Welcome back to another YouTube video, right? As promised, we're going to go ahead and start doing interviews with some of the cast members and some of the talent that's on our movie production. And today we've got someone who's been with me since the very beginning. She pretty much came on right away. She started out as a storyboard artist, as our lead storyboard artist, and she's transitioned over to doing some animating, and she's basically my go-to person. Anything that I need, she's the person that I reach out to first. So I'm gonna introduce none other than Victoria Thomas. Say hi, Vicky.
Hi, guys.
So Vicky, let's start talking about your art history. How did you get involved in art?
Well, when I was going through school, I was originally doing science, and I kept saying to people, oh, but I like animation. I'm going to go into animation. I can go into it later. And people kept saying, why aren't you doing art? And I was like, oh, I can pick that up anytime. So it got to the exams. I kind of coasted through them with like sort of average marks, like B's. Went to my over here it's called sixth form. I think over there it would be like the years before, right before you go off to college. So right before you're going to go to uni, I went into that and was still doing science, even though I kept telling everyone I was going to do animation. And in the meantime, I was doing stuff at home. Like I was making these little PowerPoint presentations to music that were basically storyboards, but I didn't know what they were. I just thought they were fun. So I was like, oh yeah, there's my art. I can do this. And then I actually failed the first set of exams I did because it wasn't for me. So I had a chat with the head of my year, and he told me to not do it anymore. He said, go to the college, community college rather than upper college, do art there, and then you'll get into uni and do your animation. So I did. I went over. They had a multimedia course that was perfect. I didn't get in that year. I actually they told me I wasn't ready, and I had to go and do night school for a year. So in the evenings, it was every Tuesday and Wednesday, I'd go and do art and design and graphic design so that it would build up my skills. And it meant that over that year, I learned a lot more about what I could and couldn't do. So one of the projects that my dad always jokes about is I had to modify a shoe. So I had to get a physical shoe and change it, and I turned it into a genie lamp, where it was an actual artistic course on one side and a very digital one on the other. So it was very much two sides of both spectrums of what you can do in art. So at the end of that, I reapplied for the multimedia course, and the guy running it said, yeah, you're ready now, you can get on. And that entailed photography, graphics, motion graphics, which was basically animation, like stop motion. There was sound design, there was video and video editing. It was a lot of actual important stuff that if you want to do film or animation that you needed to do. And it meant that I got into that. And in my first year, one of the art teachers came back to me and said, you need to do life drawing now. And I said, what do you mean life drawing? And they're like, drawing nude people. And obviously when you're a teenager, you're like, ooh, cringe. Not what you want to do. But so he told me when it was on and said, because I was doing a course at the college, I could get in for free. So I had to start doing that as well. And he got me drawing from really tiny pictures to big A3 ones, because I automatically always draw really small if I'm left to my own devices. I don't know why, I just always go super small on a page. All my sketch pads used to be A6. And since then I've got them up to A5 and A4. So they're a bit bigger, but it's just you either go really big or go really small, I've found with most people. So
yeah, I'm the opposite.
I did that.
I go big.
Yeah, exactly. It's you do one or the other. You're never standard in the middle. It's small or big. But so then I was doing that course. I passed it really well. They actually thought I took to it really well. And then we had to apply for university, what you Americans call college. And I applied to a bunch. I had a few be a bit weird about it. I went to a few interviews, they were weird.
Yeah.
One of them was a group interview, which was very strange.
Oh, panel interview. Yeah, that is pretty strange.
Yeah, it was actually, it was a bunch of us. There was 30 of us applying for the position there.
Wow.
They had several of them at the same time. There was 30 of us in a circle having to discuss stuff. And it was
weird.
awful. And like we all left joking because like this one guy at the beginning volunteered to go first. And like, what inspires you? And he just stood up and was like, I'm inspired by death, and went on this big tirade. And we were just like, what?
Listen,
when we were leaving, all the normal people, like, he got the place, didn't he?
If there's one thing I've learned about art is that art has a lot of weird people.
Yeah. So that one I didn't get into. Like, one of the ones I applied to kept being really weird. Like, oh, can you come to an interview tomorrow? And no, I couldn't.
So you weren't always artistically inclined. Your passion kind of sprung up, like during, I guess, your teenage years.
Well, yeah, it was when I was in high school. Like, one day I just started, because I'd always been watching like cartoons. Like, I never stopped watching cartoons. I just kept telling people, yeah, I'm into animation. I like animation. I'm going to do it eventually. And like, they didn't always believe me, but because I was kind of pushed to do the science and the maths and that because of my parents and that, where they just wanted us to do what was best for us, really. So yeah. I think my mum had very much reservations about like, us actually getting into it. And I mean, she's not exactly been wrong about it, because like it's a hard industry to get into.
Yeah,
but
I was in the same boat when I was growing up. My dad really didn't want me to do art. He wanted me to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, right? And so
yeah,
not knowing that technology would take off the way that it did in the 90s, right? Because I think if he had known that, he more than likely would have been more supportive. But yeah, I concur. I can relate to you.
Yeah, but it meant that after I'd done the community college, I did get a place in one of the universities I applied to. So I got to go, and I learned a lot there. And that was when I met you, because it was in my third year that I reached out to you.
That's awesome. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's start with your passion for Transformers. You said that, you've always watched cartoons, and I just turned 44. I still watch cartoons. So yeah, I can relate to that as well. But tell me specifically about Transformers.
Right, so Transformers is an interesting one because when I was younger, we had a load of toys, and I didn't necessarily know what they were because I have two older sisters, so they were shared toys.
I didn't know you had two sisters.
Yeah, I have two. I have one that's older than Jemima, who you know, and Jemima. Like, I'm the youngest of three. And I used to play with the shared toys, and we had a bunch of ones that I was told to be very careful with. And the one I used to play with the most out of that was a gorilla. And at the time, I just called it the scary face gorilla, because when you flipped up its face, it had another face underneath. And it, you could click a button and guns came shooting out of its shoulders. And I was just like, yeah, that's the scary gorilla. Like, I'll play with him. He's the villain or whatever. Like, I can't remember what I used to play with him. And I remembered we also had a T-Rex with him that had like what I called like the weird legs, because on the Beast Wars Megatron, as it was, if you pressed the legs in a certain way, part of it came off and it looked like flesh underneath. So I thought it was like I thought that one was a Jurassic Park toy, because we had a lot of Jurassic Park. Because I didn't know how to transform these things, so I just played with them. And my sisters watched Beast Wars on the TV. They say I wasn't interested in it. I remember watching some of G1 vaguely, but it wasn't on the TV very much. And what actually happened with that was, so that was what I remember from being a child with Transformers. When I was going through sort of college or university, whatever, it was sometime around then, Transformers Animated was on. It was when I was in late college. I saw season 3 of Transformers Animated on the TV.
Great story, by the way.
And yeah, so I watched that with Jemima, because she had told me it was a good show, where she had watched a little bit of it. I think she'd seen like a bit of season 1 and a bit of season 2, but not all of it. So I looked that up, and I ended up getting what was on DVD at the time, because season 3 was never on DVD. I got like season 1 through 2. And I watched that, and I was like, yeah, this is a decent show. I like it. Like, but that wasn't when I actually became a proper fan of Transformers, though, because when I was at uni, she said to me, oh, there's a new Transformers show coming out. It's called Transformers Prime. And I said to her, well, I didn't mind animated, and the movies at the time, which I'd seen, were okay. So I said, maybe we should give it a shot. So we did. And first few episodes rolled by, like, the Darkness Rising arc. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's good. And then we watched it as it was coming out, basically. And then we got to the knockout episode. And we were watching it. And I literally remember saying to her, I think I really like him. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, really like him. Like, I think I'm going to just be obsessed with him like him. And yeah, as you can see behind me on this side, picture knockout, there's a whole bunch of them over here as well.
Yeah, so really Transformers Prime is what brought you into the Transformers universe. It's what, I guess hooked you.
Yeah.
And then even more so the knockout character. I mean, I know that you're a huge knockout fan based on our interactions, right? The fans don't know this in the audience, but I'm, you and I, you tend to look at knockout really, really carefully, hey, by the way.
Yes, I
do. So that's great. Go ahead, talk about it.
If something's off, I'm like, fix that.
There's an ear where it's supposed to be, I think, black or something like that. And
no, it's meant to be white, and Jonathan had textured it black. Yeah. And I was like, his elf ears aren't white.
I never even knew it. I didn't see it, but your attention to detail is so refined that you were able to pick it out. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So what is it about the character that you like so much?
That's something I have actually asked myself, and it's I kind of think it's a bunch of the tropes that I like. Before now, I've always been into characters like Shadow the Hedgehog, other bad boys, as you can see, I've got some Turtles posters and Pony posters behind me, which is a very random mix to some people. But yeah, I like 2003 Ninja Turtles. I watched a lot of that as a kid. I watched the 87, I watched 2003, I've watched the 2012, I've watched the new one. I've watched all the Turtles. The only one I don't watch is the live action movies, because the Bay Turtles, they don't deserve the money in my opinion. But I really I'm often into villains and sort of bad characters.
So based on the fact that he was a villain, now he's transitioning over to at the end of Predacons Rising.
I really like a good redemption arc of a villain, actually. Movies I enjoyed when I was going through everything was things like Megamind, where he's a villain and he becomes a hero. I really enjoy that kind of story.
Well, and that's a good point. But the great thing about that is that there was a catalyst there. There was a reason for him to want to switch over. And I think with Knockout, at least in my opinion, with Knockout, it made sense. I mean, he's been treated like garbage on the Decepticon side, so he's I'm tired of it.
Oh yeah, you could kind of see the writers kind of pushed him into the role Starscream had originally in the later seasons, and he was just getting sort of pushed on by Megatron more and more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where and also of course he'd do it for his own paint job. He'd do anything for his own paint job. So
did it catch you by surprise when he switched in Predacons Rising?
No,
really? It caught me by surprise. I'll be honest with you. It caught me. I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Because at the end of the series before Predacons Rising, on the last episode, he had said he was joining the winning team, and I was like, yeah, of course you'd say that, mate. And so in Predacons Rising, when he was put with the choice of joining Starscream or joining the Autobots, he went with them because he knew Starscream wasn't going to protect his pain.
That's true.
It was a very obvious choice for Knockout.
That's a great point. So let's talk a little bit about the art project. Talk about how you first found out about it. Why did you want to come on board? And what's your experience been since?
The first thing I saw of the Galvatron's Revenge was one of your artists post a turnaround of Knockout on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, the artist who
was that Jonathan?
Who did Knockout?
Jonathan that did that, no?
Yeah, whichever one it was, I can't remember at this point in time, but I saw the turnaround on YouTube of Knockout's model, and I was like, oh, that's a really nice Knockout model. I wonder what that's for. And then I did a bit of research, because I think it had a small description saying it was for Galvatron's Revenge. So I had to look that up, and then it led me to the TFW forums where we all resided at the beginning. And I found your thing about it and the vague description, and that's what I just put a message on there going, if you need storyboards, I'm your girl. And you reached out to me because I tried to DM you and your DM box was full. You had too many fans already.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you did reach out, because obviously I think you've done like about, I would say about 80% of the storyboarding, right?
Oh yeah.
100% of, well, I would say about 95% because I think I've done one or two scenes, small
Yeah, it
ones.
was like Andrea did a couple of scenes and then you did
Yeah, she did
a
she
couple.
did the action stuff, but as far as the story stuff, I think you were like 95% of it you did because I think I did
Yeah.
one, or two at max. But so tell me, what has your experience like been since you've joined the team and you've gotten to work on this project?
Well, I think like at the beginning, like I was really nervous about a lot of things, like even just talking on the phone. Like I've never been a person who likes talking on phones. Like so having like this whole every X weeks you gotta talk to someone on the phone, it's like, oh great. So like
Yeah, so by the way, for the audience, what we did was we would have weekly meetings as a team to basically either assign projects or get an update as to where we were at based on maybe last week's assignment, or just give a constant update and feedback onto where we're at. So
yeah. So like obviously you gave me like the sort of link to the meeting that you wanted me to have for the first one with you, and that went fine. And then you gave me the script because we decided I was a good fit for it. And I remember reading through it and going, yeah, I could see this working. It's fine. There's no major problems. And then, you told me to just start on scene 2 because you'd already done scene 1. So that was the one that we sort of like used as this to see if I was actually good mesh and you liked my storyboards.
yep.
And like I remember like back then like my tablet was a bit dodgier, so like I just look back at some of those pictures and I'm like, oh great, that Ultra Magnus looks fine. And that was the other thing actually that was interesting. Some of those characters I had never drawn before. Like I'd drawn some of them, but I hadn't ever drawn like Ultra Magnus, and working out shots with his shoulders. That's fun.
I mean, animating. I think animating him and Rodimus are the two toughest ones because of their shoulders. So yeah.
Cyclonus can be a bit annoying as well.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because of how the rig is, but you're right on that as well.
Yeah, like because that scene obviously it was like Ratchet, Ultra Magnus, Bumblebee, and Smokescreen,
and Knockout.
So that one was a fairly easy scene because it was just them talking and then leaving. So I did that and then moved on like a bit in. I think I got to about scene. I think I got to around scene 10 or 9 or 10, and then that's when Adrian, I think I said Andrea before, Adrian came on, and she took scene 11 because it was a fight scene, and then I continued on with what I was doing, and then that took her a while, and then I did like up to I think I got to about like, I think you'd already done 14 as well, because I remember that was the combined scene or whatever, and you'd done that. So when she was finished and I had done most of the other boards at that point, you gave me 16, you gave her 18, which is what we're working on now. And I remember that took a while because there was a few complex shots that I put into it that I don't know. I think one of them we cut, but it was fun to do. Like that one's actually really good to show off sometimes because it's like it was very hard to storyboard.
Oh yeah. So let me ask you this. So what so obviously you came in as a storyboard artist and then you've transitioned over to doing animating. Walk us through what was that like?
Well, like when you asked me to do like, because you like, funnily enough, you start me on scene 2, which was the first scene I storyboarded, and I was like, oh yeah, that's fitting. So like I was excited because I do like animation as well as storyboarding. Like I like the whole process. Like if you told me to edit it, I would have. It's why I always said to people I like animation. I like the whole process, not just the finished piece. When I can say like my least favorite part is sound and I can still do it, it's like, you can tell if it's your passion or not is what I'm saying. And so you gave me the scene 2 file that Jonathan had set up for me, and I remember I went into it like Jonathan had checked I knew how to use the stuff, and I had a basic knowledge of Blender because I'd used it a couple times. Like, and at uni I'd been using Maya, and so I'd been given a couple rigged characters before, so it was probably easier for me than someone like Neil who I knew hadn't done much. But so I got on with it. really enjoyed doing it. It was just like, I think the main thing I struggled with was the walk cycles, because if you get that wrong, it's not very good.
Yeah. Walk cycles are tough.
So yeah, walk and run, yeah, it takes a long time to get better at.
It does. The timing has to be very exact, because if not, it looks like they're sliding.
Yeah, or skating, or yeah, like, but I remember doing that, and I really enjoyed putting the emotion into the characters as I'd imagined it, like the bit where Smokescreen points at Knockout and he flinches and stuff like that. It's very subtle, but if you do it perfectly, people don't tend to even notice. And that's one of the things, like, I actually quite enjoy adding the fine details, like the slight facial expressions and the slight movement of the chest and stuff. It's like, when you give me a scene and I'm not rushing it, it's like, you're going to get a really carefully polished piece.
Nice. So now that you've had your hands involved in like so many things, and you've seen the progress from where we started and where we're kind of finishing up, we're a little bit a ways from finishing up. How do you feel about the progress of the film as a whole?
Well, yeah, like, I think, like, until you started releasing the scenes, it felt like it was just never going to end. And then kind of when you started pushing the scenes out and going, guys, we're putting it out in piece by piece, it kind of actually started feeling like we were doing something for once. And even though we've been doing stuff the whole time. And I think it kind of gave us a push. And now it actually is like, guys, we're nearly done. I'm finishing off like that destruction scene for you at the moment, like dating this interview. But and you're finishing some of the animation around it. And there's not a load of parts left.
Nope, there's just 2 sub scenes left at this juncture. So we're almost done.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like, I might actually get a small break after this.
You and me both. I mean, yeah, we're going to take a break from animating, but me personally, I'm going to go right into developing character design and concept art, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure at some point you'll just yeet the script right at me.
Well,
be like, look at this.
Well, for me, that's a break, because I've been animating for so long. It's like I need a break from animating. I want to do some other piece of art. I'm never gonna stop doing art. It's just like breathing, right?
Yeah.
But that's awesome. So what would be like your favorite, without giving any spoilers, but what's your favorite scene so far?
That's a tough one for me, actually, because I really like the whole film, because it's like our little project.
It is.
I think, like, not to be cliche here, but like that scene that I added where Knockout and Ratchet have the heart-to-heart, probably.
Because that's coming up. We haven't released that
yet. Yeah, but look forward to it.
Oh yeah, that is really nice. And I think that scene is really impactful if you think about it. I can't wait for them to see it, and I can't wait for the audience to react to it, because it is impactful.
Yeah, I probably that one, because I remember like you said something to me along the lines of, "Oh, this isn't meshing," and I said, "Try this," and just gave you that storyboard.
Yes, because I wanted to see, I wanted to feel the transition of. Because I think we talked about how, like, at the end of Predacons Rising, he really didn't have a time or moment or a chance to shine. He was more like scared and a bit of a coward.
Yeah.
And based on the fact that he was a Decepticon, he was never really a coward. I mean, he picked and chose his battles. He knew when he was outgunned or outmanned, but I don't think he was ever really a coward. So I think with our film, I think we're going to give him his chance to shine, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you concur. So let me ask you this: have I done the Knockout character justice?
I think you have. Yeah. I mean, it's down to your personal opinion, I guess. But like, I wouldn't have really continued with the project if I didn't think you were doing all the characters justice. Because when you're a fan of a show, you want it to actually mesh with the show you like.
Totally agree. Be it that it's a fan-based project, and I know we're a little bit biased because we're working on it, but try and be objective. How do you think it fares against the stuff that Hasbro's actually putting out there?
Like, I think, like, in comparison to like things like Rid and that, it's obviously a different tone, because Rid was the direct sequel to Prime, obviously. Like,
RID, yep.
I think yeah, like I think it's probably a more faithful and nicer continuation of Prime compared to that. Like some of the other things are very hard to actually judge at this point. 'Cause, like the Netflix Bot show, for instance, that's a completely different genre. Like you cannot really, you know, that's you can't compare those. Like and like the Earth Spark, I've seen that now as well. Like I think that one's kind of interesting because it's like more G1-esque, but kind of not. So it's like I think like if you were asking me about like the other Netflix Transformer show or the you know, or the garbage fire that was like those like Rooster Teeth ones or whatever. Yeah, ours is better.
Yeah,
because like I personally did not like the Netflix Transformers show. I'm sure plenty of people did.
Yeah, I think our community is so divided that we're gonna find people who did like it and didn't like it, and that's okay.
Oh yeah, I'm cool with anyone liking it. Like you can like what you like, and I can like what I like. But I just didn't really rate the Netflix one. Like I thought it was a bit dark in tone and a bit gritty.
Yeah,
and
sure
I'm
was.
not into that. I like a bit of bit more fun added. Like that's why I like Prime, because it's serious, but there's a bit of fun in
Agreed.
there.
I totally agree. It had the perfect balance. And I think it's important that we keep in mind as a community that we love Transformers, and it doesn't matter if you like one aspect of Transformers over another. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Like, if your favorite is the Unicron trilogy, more power to you.
Yeah, I can't get down with it, but hey, if that's
like I've seen those too, and I don't mind them. But
if that's what brought you into the Transformers universe and so on, it's a great. Like I honestly, I can't stand the movies. I'll watch them.
One of my friends actually, one of my real life friends at a convention was brought into the Transformers community because of Transformers Cybertron.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Unicron trilogy. So that's what I'm saying. I can be friends with you anyway. It's cool.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, if that's what got you into it, that's what got you into it.
Yeah. But it's so funny. So now that we're wrapping up the film, we're just about getting ready to finish it. What are you looking forward to in your personal life moving on? Like, I don't know if you have some other type of projects that you got going on outside of this project.
Well, I always like have this thing with me where like I procrastinate a lot. So I always start little projects and then stop, and then maybe a year or two later I'll go back and go, oh yeah, and then try and start again. And like I think like when we've wrapped this up, like I've been actually working on a novel, so I want to try and finish editing that because it's in editing phase at the moment. And I put down the sequel to it on the floor in a notebook and never continued it. So I need to continue with that. It's one of those things where it's like, depending on what we've been doing, depends on how much I've been getting done. So like when I was just animating easy scenes, like I was finding I was doing a lot more writing. But at the moment with this destruction scene, it's a lot of thought and, you know, technical stuff. So like, you know, like, oh, I have to activate this piece of physics now, and then I need to go through and do it 50 more times. And that, because it's so many pieces that I often find in the evening, I just want to lay back and watch YouTube or something. So
that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, when I shut down, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done.
You just want to chill and go to bed.
Yeah,
like, that's
seriously.
it.
So, one last final question. Are you doing any like freelance stuff? If there's somebody who, let's say they're seeing this video and they want to bring you on board for something, some type of freelance. Hey, Vicky, where can they reach you at?
Well, you can visit my website, which is operationvanit.wordpress.com, where that's where my portfolio is. And like I live there. I'm pretty sure it's got my email address on there as well. Like I check it. I don't always remember to update it, but I check it a lot. You can also find me on Twitter under Operation Vanit and reach out to me there. Like I'm around. Like I have an Instagram you can reach out to me on. I've had a couple people reach out to me on Instagram, same Operation Vanit.
Sweet. Awesome. So anything in closing, anything that you would like to say about the project to the fans, to bring them in, and you know, anything that you want to close off with?
Well, I think like you should enjoy it while it's coming out, but when it's finished, like, you should probably watch it from start to finish as it was intended, because watching the scenes separated is very different to watching the final piece. Like, you think that you've watched it piece by piece, but you'll get a better impactful response if you actually go back and watch it together.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and if, like, you're a backer, hopefully we can work out how to render this thing and get you a version that's rendered, because I just constantly laugh at when is it finished? When is it going to be rendered? And it's like, yes, person.
Well, hopefully,
like, we're learning too.
Hopefully, yeah, we can you know, finish this off quick. And one of the things that I actually had a talk with Mike over the weekend, you know, once we're done, we're gonna sit back and we're gonna pick it apart. We're going to look at whatever needs to be looked at and fine-tune whatever needs to be fine-tuned and make sure that the audio matches. One of the things I don't think is that from scene to scene, especially when it comes to 11 and 18, I don't think Nolan has really, like, tried to streamline the sub-scene. So we got to make sure that that's
sort of music he's been using.
Yeah. But awesome.
Well, yeah, so we're basically showing you fans the final animatic at this point, and when it's done, then you'll get the whole film.
Yep. All right, Vicky, thank you so much for giving us your time, meeting with us, chatting with us. And again, if there's anybody that needs to contact Vicky, she's already given her information. Vicky, send me the details and I'll put it in the description below so people can just click. All right?
Okay.
All right, thanks so much, Vicky. Everybody else, take care. Till next time, till all are one. Peace out, guys.